would you want the Suns to pursue Jonathan Kuminga?
Depends on what you're paying him, because you would have to do this in a sign and trade. I think he's young enough that maybe he's worth taking a flyer on, but I personally don't really like the fit. I feel like Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup, that's a lot of mouths to feed. And I'm just not entirely sure. I mean, like, you can say what you want about Steve Kerr, and the Warriors haven't been the same team over the last couple of years, but they do have a certain culture that has worked over the last decade plus. And to me, it is somewhat alarming that, like, Steve Kerr and the Warriors did not find a way to use him or to fit him in, or whatever you want to call it. So that's a little concerning to me. The fact that, like Brett Siegel pointed out, he's looking for $25, $30, $35 million a year.
Which immediately puts you back into all these conversations that we just said you got out of.
Right. So it does depend on what you do trade-wise. So if you're looking at this, and sign and trades are a little more complicated, so the outgoing salary for the Warriors would count for half of what he's signing for that first year salary with the Suns. So if he was signing with the Suns for $20 million for that first year, that would only count for $10 million outgoing for the Warriors, but it would count for $20 million incoming for the Suns. So that discrepancy usually is harder to make up. It's not too hard because now the Suns have flexibility here, but something to keep in mind as well, the Suns would be hard capped at the first apron if they do a sign and trade. That's about $195.9 million, and that means you couldn't cross that amount for the rest of the year. They're $3.3 million away from the luxury tax right now, and $8.8 million away from that first tax apron that would hard cap them. So something to keep in mind there. I'm just going to go through some computations real quick because I did the math on some of these. Grayson for Kuminga, if you're signing Kuminga to a deal that starts at 17 or 25 million between there, that would work. Royce for Kuminga, if it was $8 to $10 million a year, that would work. Royce plus Richards for Kuminga works if it's 15 million to 23 million that Kuminga's making. And then Grayson plus Royce, with Royce being absorbed into the Warriors MLE, works between 20 million and 35 million. So you heard Brett say that they're probably not going to be interested in Grayson. So it would probably be something like Royce and Nick Richards, where they take him into the MLE or something like that. But I don't know. I don't really want to pay Jonathan Kuminga $20 to $25 million a year, because you'd still have roster spots to fill after that, and you'd have a very limited amount of space to do so.
Yeah, I'm not like out on Kuminga as a player. Let's take a look at his stats here from last season. I mean, not bad in just 24.2 minutes per game. He scored 15.3 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 50.8 2-point percentage, 30.5% from deep. And, you know, he doesn't fit in, yes, with maybe you say the Warriors culture and Steve Kerr's culture. It's just like their style of play. Like, his style of play does not fit in with the type of offense that they run. Now, was he willing to buy in to that? Clearly not, because he wouldn't change his game. And that is certainly an indictment on a player. But I also look at, like, being able to still produce those types of numbers in those minutes in a system that's not ideal for you is certainly something. Like, I'm not out on Jonathan Kuminga as a player. I am out on Jonathan Kuminga as a player for $30 million a year, especially for this Phoenix Suns team that we have our youth now, right? Like, we have the people that we're taking the shots on. We have Kaman Malawach, Rasheer Fleming, Ryan Dunn, Oso Ighodaro, Kobe Brea, even Colin Gillespie, if you want to throw him in there as well. Like, there are enough rolls of the dice on this team that I don't think you need to mortgage anything to take another big one, and especially one at that big of a contract, because if you then go above the second apron, like you sign him to an amount that puts you back above that, you're refreezing your picks, you're no longer able to aggregate contracts, all these things that it's like, hey, this is why we turned Bradley Beal into a smaller 5-year problem. All of that goes away so that you can get Jonathan Kuminga. And if at the end of the day, Jonathan Kuminga ends up being a really great player who's worth it, I'm not going to look back at this moment and be like, dang it, the Suns should have jumped on that. Like, I would understand the hesitancy and the reluctance to go and make a deal, even if he ends up being great.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's not even up to them. Like, they don't have draft picks to offer. It would be like, you hope that the Warriors really want to just get rid of Kuminga and really want like a Royce O'Neal or a Grayson Allen or a Nick Richards as a big man. Like, the Suns don't have any leverage here, especially the Warriors have all the leverage because Kuminga's a restricted free agent. And like Brett said, they can drag this out for all summer because restricted free agents don't have the upper hand right now. It's also worth noting for people that, because I've seen people suggest this, well, why don't we just, sign and trade and get him for like a year or two and see how he does? A sign and trade comes with a minimum of a 3-year commitment. So you're looking at 3 to 4 years, probably 20 to 25 million is what you would be signing him for. That's a pretty significant investment, especially since we just talked about how important the wiggle room is going to be beneath the second tax apron with Bradley Beal's money on the books. So it depends on the amount you can get him for. It depends on what you're giving up. I don't see the Warriors taking what the Suns have to offer at this point. But we know that the Suns are interested, and Kuminga could be a good player. He's 22. He turns 23 in October. But for me personally, I kind of want to prioritize young pieces that actually fit with the identity that they're trying to establish and kind of fit next to that Booker, Jalen Green backcourt. I don't know that Kuminga kind of feels like more of the same to me when you look at Book and Green.
Real quick, just give me a number, the highest you'd be willing to pay.
Me, I would say like 20 million, but
yeah,
I don't think
I'm thinking
that's getting
like
it done.
15 to 18, and I don't think that's getting it done either. What do you think, though? Drop a comment, leave a like, let us know if you want the Suns to go and acquire Jonathan Kuminga, what price you'd be willing to pay.
We all silly like the mayor.